Welcome everyone to this webinar brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. In Hebrew, our name is Habitchonistim. IDSF is the leading Israeli organization advocating for strong, strategic, national security-oriented policies. Our movement consists of more than 20,000 people in Israel, primarily reserve officers and operators from all branches of the Israel Defense establishment, who believe that strong national security and staunch Zionism are necessary for Israel to be the eternal homeland of the Jewish people. Thank you so much to all of our viewers and supporters for tuning into these war briefings every day. It is very important to us at IDSF to share with you war updates and analysis from experts here in Israel through these very direct and candid briefings. I'm joined today by Daniela Traub, head of the Israeli Civil Advocacy Group. It's a great pleasure to have Daniela with us here. Many of our viewers and supporters back in the States are very active in this war, not by fighting on the battlefield, but by using their keyboards, using their voices, engaging in social media. So it's a great pleasure to have Daniela with us, who is going to guide us and inspire us to do an even better job. Daniela, please.
So thank you for having me today. I do think that advocacy, especially on social media, is kind of a battlefield, and a battlefield that isn't addressed properly, not by Israel, obviously, as we could have seen in the last operation and previous operations. But I'm going to explain a bit about what we do in our operation room, in our advocacy group, and give you some more of suggestions, not really guidelines, and you can understand from that if you want to take it with you or not, and how you can cooperate and collaborate with us if you desire to. I'm going to share a short presentation. So just a short background about myself. I'm currently a PhD candidate at Ariel University. I study international relations. I also lecture about public diplomacy, not this kind of public diplomacy, more speech analysis, speeches in the UN. And Moshe, do you want to go to Yaron first before I continue?
Oh, fantastic. Okay, Daniela, thank you so much. We are joined, we're going to pause for a moment with Daniela's very important presentation, because we are joined by Lieutenant Colonel Yaron Buskila, who is going to give us a very important operational update on what is happening in Gaza. Yaron, I know your time is very precious. You are a hero of Israel, and every minute you talk with us, you're not fighting the bad guys, so to speak. So please, Yaron, what can you share with us?
Well, first of all, I'm not the hero of Israel. There are more than 350,000 soldiers here that just in reserve, except of the active, the soldiers that are in the active duty. And all of them are fighting, some of them in Gaza, some of them support around Gaza. So a very short brief about what's going on right now. So as you probably heard a couple of weeks ago, we started our counter-offensive, our attack inside Gaza. The main goal is still to eliminate and to eradicate the Hamas organization. And I don't know if you know, but the Hamas, Gaza Strip is not a city. Gaza Strip is an area. The Gaza city is actually, I would just stop so I can speak fluently. So the Gaza is a city in the Gaza Strip that located in the north area of the Gaza Strip. So a part of the Gaza city, we have Khan Yunis, Deir el-Balah, and Rafiah, three more main cities. And the Hamas, by the years, built a lot of terror positions, and underground tunnel all over the Gaza Strip. So not only in Gaza. And they use them to attack our forces, so he can surprise us and walk underground in a very deep tunnels and long tunnels that's starting in the north of the Gaza Strip and going all the way down to the south. And one of the things that he's doing is right now hiding their commanders and then leaders, its leaders, in the tunnels, and of course, as you probably understand, the hostages. That in the first, he started by holding most of them in the north of the Gaza Strip, and as we understand and we know, actually, he moved some of them to the south, because right now we already almost attacked all of the Gaza City. When I say Gaza City, we're talking about around 1.5 million people in this city. The first 3 weeks, we let them to leave the city, get them the opportunity to leave the city. So we'll just be focused only on the terrorists and on the terrorists in the tunnels and the infrastructures that they used to terror. Of course, that they used the opportunities that we gave them to leave Gaza. So some of the terrorist leaders left the city, hiding among the civilians, and even used it to move our hostages that they kidnapped from the north to the south. So we almost finished to hold and to all of the city of all of the Gaza City, and to take over all of Gaza City. Of course, that we know that there are some of them still hiding underground. And at the same time, right now we are attacking the south area. All of these places, those places that we know that there are terrorists, that the Hamas is there. I have to tell you that our soldiers are doing a terrific work. They're moving very, very fast. And there is not a lot of resistance because we're using a lot of fire. So we can help our soldiers to fight and not to face with a lot of resistance of terrorists. And some of the tunnels collapsed. So if they planned to use the tunnels as I can say, kind of a weapon, it become a grave for a lot of the terrorists. I believe that it's already published that that we're flooding the tunnels. We're pushing a lot of water, like streaming a lot of water from the sea inside the tunnels. The tunnels that we know that there is no hostages inside. So we are breaking the doors. There are a lot of doors inside the tunnels, and of course that some of the terrorists dying inside. So I believe that this attack will continue at least one more month, and then we need to see what we're going to do next, because even after the attack will finish, there's still be terrorists that are hiding in the tunnels. Unfortunately, as you probably heard, some of the soldiers killed during or injured during this war. We're doing our best, so we will protect our soldiers to keep them safe. But war is not easy. Some of the times they're putting traps and explosive charge that they are hiding inside the houses. And some of the times, unfortunately, there are friendly fire, because it is a very, very not tiny, dense. It's a dense area, very, very dense area, especially Gaza and Khan Yunis. And sometimes we're doing mistakes and there are some friendly fires, but we're trying to learn. We learn from one mistake to another, so we will not keep it and will not do the same mistakes again.
Yaron, are you able to compare operations in Khan Yunis versus in northern Gaza? Are there more restrictions on the soldiers because of the civilian population? Is there more Hamas? Is it fundamentally any different?
Well, right now we see less restrictions from the from the Hamas, because I think that they learned that when they're trying to fight against us, usually they find themselves die very, very quick. So they're just putting traps, hiding in the tunnels, and they're trying not to be in a place of a clash with the soldier and not to get in a place of face-to-face with our soldiers. Sometimes it happens, but if they can just to use the snipers or to explosive charge or to shoot the rockets, anti-tank rockets, so they prefer that than to get into a clash with our soldiers.
And is there concern that the tunnels are going from the south of Gaza into Egypt, and that's affecting IDF operations?
Well, the Egyptian have they actually don't like the Hamas, and they try to block, and they're actually blocking the tunnels that the Hamas digged in the past, and they're not letting them cross from Gaza to Egypt, because from the Hamas point of they don't like the Egyptian as well. The Hamas is very radical. I mean, is Sunni, but he's very radical Sunni. And for the Hamas, the Egyptian are not radical enough, so they consider them not religious enough or not deserve to live or to control. Or if we're talking about the government of the Egypt right now, so they don't see eye to eye the way that they need to fight against the Western world and especially Israel. So from the Egyptian point, they see the Hamas as an enemy. They see the Hamas as a threat, and they don't let them cross from one place to from Gaza to Egypt. But I believe that in some of the cases they are crossing, and but actually they're doing the best that they can to block them and to oppose any kind of infiltrating from Gaza to Egypt.
Lieutenant Colonel Yaron Buskila, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for stopping on your way to provide this critical update. I hope we can call on you again for more insight on what is happening in Gaza. Stay safe. You may not consider yourself a hero, but the rest of us absolutely do. So thank you for all that you are doing.
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Okay, we're going to go back.
Wherever you are.
In Beit Shemesh. I will stay very safe in Beit Shemesh.
No, I mean, all of the people that here and I hear that around the world there is not easy as well, and there are a lot of anti-Semitism, and it's another kind of challenge. We are aware there's a challenge around the world, in the States or in South Africa, in Europe, wherever there are Jewish people. Those are the challenges, and so stay safe wherever you are.
Okay, you heard it from him, and that's a great segue back to Daniela, talking about what everyone from abroad can do. So thank you, Daniela, for kindly allowing us to interrupt your presentation for that presentation, and the floor is yours.
I'll pick it up from where Yaron left it. I was on my way to DC a few weeks ago, and I was on the plane sobbing because my brother was just entering Gaza, and I was hysterical, and I was sort of praying. And this guy next to me, he saw I was praying in Hebrew, and he just turned around to me and said, "Don't worry, I'm also Jewish. We are with you." So the support of people from abroad, especially the US, and I encountered so many people, Jews and non-Jews, that were there for us. That means the world, because when you deal with social media, you encounter hate all the time, and you think that that is what we have out there, but it's not. There are same voices, and there are pro-Israeli voices, And we have to help other people speak out, because it's scary to speak out. It's scary that you'll lose your job, your friends, you'll suddenly be revealed to things that you just didn't want to see and know about people around you. So the support is extremely, extremely important. And as I said before, it is a kind of battlefield as well. Just regarding my relationship, it's kind of a love-hate relationship with Hasbara, or advocacy. I started the relationship with this subject in 2011 with the operation then, when I created an advocacy group of students from the Hebrew University. Then we worked in completely different methods. Social media wasn't the same. It was quite new. And we tried to, it was the first time that the Israeli population and the global population could contribute, not only through the main media, to the image about to enforce and bring forward the image, the positive image of Israel. Then in 2014, I was one of the leaders of the Bring Back Our Boys campaign. And for me, that was quite a good step for Israel, because it was the first time when we became proactive instead of reacting to what the Palestinians use, their narrative, and they always masters in this field. We always combating then and reacting to their campaigns. That was the first time we actually started the campaign, and they were fighting against it and reacting to our messages. So that is always the goal, to be the active part where they are reacting to us, to be in the offense and not on the defense. So I want you to keep in mind these images that we see here. These are illustrations that came out of our operation room, but I'll speak about them later on. What we're going to speak about today is how to build a good, effective campaign. And this is how we work in our advocacy group. So first, knowing your audience. Then understanding the platform we should use for that specific audience, tapping into the right campaign, or maybe I would rephrase it, tapping into the right hashtag, and according to that, building our message. So let's start with the audience. So this is an analysis created by also a civil organization regarding pro-Israeli and anti-Israeli countries, or tendency of those countries to be pro-Israeli or anti-Israel. As we can see, for me, it's not such a bad image, because usually Europe is and also South America isn't that pro-Israel, but in this specific operation, in this specific war, we do see that they are tending to be more pro-Israeli, or at least they listen and they are willing to listen. Now, this is important for us to understand where we're going to put our effort, our money, our time, and our goals. For me at least, because we are in a group with a lot of budget, it's pointless to go to countries like China or Australia. We'll have to invest much more to convince those countries or specific groups in those countries. I may want to encourage or support people in countries that are more pro-Israel or neutral countries. This is the same also regarding the US. Also here we can see which countries or which states are tending to be more pro-Israeli and which are against Israel. Now, this slide for me is optimistic. It's divided into this is only the US, so if there are people here from Europe, I'm sorry. This is an analysis done on the US. And it's also from the beginning, not the beginning of the war, it's mid-November. So it's a bit outdated. In the war, we have to all the time update it, but this is what we have for now. It's divided into the general population: whites, blacks, Hispanic, Asian, Muslim, and liberals. The blacks here are divided into the younger age group and an older age group. This is important because if we see the measurements here, we can see that the older population of the black society tends to be a bit more neutral and a bit more pro-Israeli. Now, what's optimistic for me about this slide, we can see, except for the Muslims, we can see that there are a lot of neutral and unsure people. Those are the people we are aiming for. It means that we have a place to influence, and we have that gap in order for our message to be heard. And this is extremely important because we're not going to convince the anti-Israel population to come over and suddenly love us, or at least support or listen. And the pro-Israeli groups is, you know, the supporters are already there, so investing time in them isn't that important for us right now. The neutral and the unsure ones are a good target for us. Now, it is interesting to see on the left we see what happened at the beginning of the war. On the right we see in November where we're standing. And we can see that there are shifts from pro-Israeli, less pro-Israeli to more pro-Israeli, and the same on the Palestinian side, meaning that convincing people is working. Speaking out loud, interviews, influencers, social media campaigns, engaging with people is actually making a change for those on the upper part of the graph. So as we can see here, there is a lot of place to influence. And it's important to us, in order to decide when we launch those campaigns, we have to decide who is our target audience. So let's say I'm taking the latest campaign that is there are two that are running in parallel. There's the Orange campaign for the Bebas kids that's running right now, that just started. And then there's the UN Woman, that's also a campaign that's out there and is very vocal. So I have to understand, before I begin that campaign, I have to understand who my target audience is. Who do I want to convince? Who do I want to reach? And following that, I decide on the platform I'm going to use. So Gen Z, where
Daniela,
does Gen
Z... Can I just interrupt you for
absolutely.
a second to clarify for people who may have come late? Those two campaigns you mentioned, who is running those? This is the state of Israel. Who's behind the campaigns?
So, so it's different civil groups usually that run these campaigns, and it's usually individual just operations that people decide upon. The families of the hostages, their unit is extremely strong, and a lot of the campaigns, the most influential campaign of Bring Them Back Home now, is came out of their headquarters. And each campaign comes from a different direction. The question of how does a campaign become successful is also answering these questions, and the preparation that is done behind. It's the collaborations done in order to spread those campaigns out. And it's also an emotional aspect. We're going to touch that soon. Does that campaign resonate with our audience we're trying to reach? So each campaign is different. Most of the campaigns did not come from the Israeli government or the Israeli offices. They came from private people. As you can see, let's say Gal Gadot is running on the Bring Them Back Now very strongly. Not she may be working with the Israeli government, but that was initiated there. I don't know if she is or isn't. So again, usually the state, if it engages in advocacy, it's considered propaganda. If civilians engage in advocacy, it is advocacy, and it's more believable, and people tend to believe it more and say, oh, it's not biased, it's not paid, it's not propaganda, and so on. So there it's a bit tricky for the state of Israel, but that's a whole other topic of how Israel should handle this crisis, which was badly managed from the beginning. So just to finish on the point of a platform, when I decide upon my audience, I also have to understand where they are. If I want decision makers, I may go to Twitter or X. If I want also the UN Women campaign, LinkedIn is a really good platform because it's about women, it's about empowerment, it's about women organizations that are very present in LinkedIn. Millennials, I would go maybe more to Facebook and also LinkedIn. So I have to understand where my audience is, also to understand which resources I need. TikTok, I need videographers. If it's Twitter, I need people to write content. So also understanding where to put the emphasis is very important. Now, these are the hashtags that were used throughout the war. And if you can notice, they're very different from one another, and they convey completely different things, and they speak to different places of our mind and our hearts. So the main ones that we're running is the Hamas is ISIS. The most influential one is Bring Them Home, Free Gaza from Hamas, Stand with Israel, and the West is Next. This is important because this is our umbrella. If I decide on a campaign, I want to have a brand, and this hashtag is the brand. It's when people read it, they know, okay, he's standing for that. I can identify with it. I immediately know where this takes me. And this brings me to what kind of messages there are out there, and what does it evoke in us? What does it bring us to think? I will begin with the fact that the emotional one has proven the most, I think, the best one, because that's what stuck and that's what people are willing to share more than the rest that are here. So the first message is the aggressor and the victim. Now, the aggressor and the victim is a way the West think for the last few years, David and Goliath, and the strong against the weak and the underdog. And usually the Palestinians are considered the underdog and the weak and the poor. Without, it's just black and white, and there's no way actually to see the complexity of a conflict. Now, you actually can see here that this message is on that, trying to portray Israel as the victim, which it is, of the genocidal terrorist group Hamas, which is also harming the Palestinian population. That's one type of message. Then we have the emotional message, the focus on October the 7th, the focus on the hostages, and also religion, which would resonate with Christians when you see a group of soldiers praying for the first time inside Gaza. So this talks to the emotional side of people, to try to engage them through emotion. Then you have the facts. Now, Yosef Haddad in the beginning went more on the emotional side. Now he's tending towards the facts about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and facts about the war and the lies, trying to debunk the lies of the Palestinians. Now, this is quite a difficult stand to take, because it doesn't really interest a lot of people, but it has its importance as well. And the last one is fear. Israel is the democratic force standing against the evil on behalf of the West. Also, this one is a bit tricky, because not everybody believes that extreme Islam is a threat. They can't see it as a threat that's knocking at their door. And this will work with people that already believe this, that already advocate against this, and this will just give them another drive. So if we are aiming for this kind of audience, this will be a good message to convey. So this was a poll conducted and seen which messages are the best for the groups that I actually presented before. And we can see that the general population, the message that was the most effective for them, and again, I'm reminding that this is a war and it shifts and changes all the time. So polls like that have to be conducted weekly. So we have the hostages and protecting the innocent that will resonate the most with the general population. And we can see it again, the democracy, Israel as a democracy, the innocent and the hostages repeating itself. And as you can see, and I already mentioned, let's say Gal Gadot, this is the main point she pushes forward. She doesn't touch other matters. This is what she's willing to push forward, and this is what she believes that works. And also, according to this is the most powerful tool we actually have to justify our protection of civilians, the attempt to get the hostages back, and everything the IDF has been doing since October the 7th. So what tools we have? I'm just going to say that when we worked in 2011, we worked in a completely different manner, because we had social media was completely different. Influencers wasn't a thing back then. Now it's an extremely huge force that we have to use all the time. Now I'm speaking about social media. I'm not speaking about the TV, and I'm not speaking about speeches, and I'm not speaking about representative in Congress. I'm speaking about just social media and campaigns on social media. Now, at the beginning of the operation room, we had a creative team, we had videographers, we had photographers, we had a distribution group. We had many thousands of volunteers, and it just was extremely difficult to maintain and extremely difficult to gain control over all of this sudden activity that we had. So we decided to focus on specific campaigns and less manpower. Where we needed manpower is with the distribution. We already created the campaign, we created the graphic, the visuals for the campaign, then we needed people and mass of people to actually send it out and start pushing it forward. So the first thing is, and that's why I put it first, is working in cooperation with other organizations, with other pro-Israeli groups, with other with Israelis, with people with that have contact with decision makers, with journalists, with as many people as possible. Even, and this is a very tricky point because there's a lot of ego in the advocacy world, and there's a lot of clashes, and not everybody would want to cooperate with your message. That's okay, but look for the people that do want to cooperate and will help you distribute your message and your campaign that you worked on. Influencers today have most of the power on social media, on every single platform. They have hundreds of thousands of followers, even tens of thousands of followers, and it's a great source of power that we must use. So we can see that the most influential one that's working extremely hard, the Australian Nate Buzz, just turned his platform into a pro-Israeli advocacy machine, which is amazing. And we don't need all influencers to do that. Even an influencer that says, I support Israel, is good. We don't have to turn them into a machine that constantly creates content. No, but we do need them to stand with us. And the more influencers we reach, that the better. But we also have to support them. They can't feel alone, because it's very, as we started the talk, it's a very brutal battlefield, the social media. There's a lot of hate there. People allow themselves to say whatever they want. Therefore, we also have to support our influencers that decide to stand with us. Content creation, obviously, of what I said, when we create a campaign, we need the visuals, and that's extremely important. We don't have to create mass content. We need 1, 2, 3 really good videos or images that people just want to share like that. We have trends popping up all the time with the really good content. If we only want to show our support, also likes and shares is really good, because that increases the engagement, and people that may, just friends that haven't seen stuff, could see it because you just liked or shared it. Now, sponsored campaigns are also important, and the reason why the sponsored part is important is because the algorithm of, let's say, Facebook or TikTok is extremely biased, meaning you see a certain type of video on TikTok, and that's what it will show you. It's not going to show you the other side. So if somebody just saw by mistake a pro-Palestinian video, that's what it's going to continue showing them. If you pay and sponsor your campaigns, you can break that algorithm and actually also get to those specific audiences that are extremely difficult to get to. And the last thing, and this is maybe one of the most important things that is different today than what was in 2011 and 2014, we have technology. And that's where Israel is strong. We have bots, we have duplicators, we have cyber, in order to enhance our little army that's outnumbered by the Muslim world. And we need these tools in order to have the influence. One of the tools we have in our operation room is a bot in which people can send in positive content for Israel, and you just do a sort of a check mark, and then the bot runs and supports that post and its engagements and likes. And you can also send anti-Israel posts, and then it goes and it reports those specific posts in order for Facebook and Instagram and so on to delete those posts completely. So using technology, and every kind of technology, is extremely important. This is something we did do in Bring Back Our Boys. We duplicated our hashtag many times in order to beat the Palestinians that were trying to hijack that specific hashtag of Bring Back Our Boys. So a few of the advocacy groups that are created,
Daniela, we are
yeah,
unfortunately
yeah, sure. So I'm really
get
finished.
a final wrap up. I feel like we
Yes.
could be here all day learning from you. It's unbelievable.
Um,
But maybe one liner, and then we'll
yeah.
hopefully bring you back for more.
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, thank you. And the group that I'm leading currently, and which in Bali, one that couldn't be here today, will take over from me because I have to complete my PhD, sadly enough. But she's going to take over. The group is called Charavot Barzel, the name of the operation, and we would welcome any group or person that would want to work with us on campaigns and distribute the campaigns and work in cooperation and do like a sort of a think tank on which campaigns to which population can actually work. That's the group. This is my email if you just want to be in contact with me on any of this that I spoke about. Yeah, just feel free to reach out. And thank you for
Daniela, thank
listening.
you so much. Next time, we're going to need a full hour to cover all this. We have so many, by the way, social media campaigns at IDSF that we do to impact Israeli society. I feel like we need to have a deep dive with you on all of our operations. Thank you to all of our viewers, all of our supporters for tuning in. We will, if Daniela you can provide the slides, we'll definitely pass them, share them with all of our viewers. And for everyone, tomorrow we are planning another briefing at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we're going to do a rapid fire session with Brigadier General Amir Avivi. We're going to address as many questions as we possibly can in 30 minutes. So please join us tomorrow. Daniela, thank you so much. Thank you to all of our listeners. Stay safe and stay strong, everyone. Take care.